Hyun-woo stepped off the transport ship and looked around the massive space station. Nexus 7 was bigger than any building he had ever seen on Earth. The walls were made of some shiny metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Strange creatures walked through the halls, and none of them looked like humans. "Welcome to the Galactic Academy," said a voice behind him. Hyun-woo turned and saw what looked like a walking tree made of crystal. The creature was tall and thin, with branches that sparkled in different colors. "I am Professor Zenth. You must be one of the new human students." "Yes, sir," Hyun-woo said, trying not to stare. "I'm Hyun-woo Kim. I'm here to study engineering." Two other humans walked up to them. Da-eun was carrying a large bag full of books about alien biology. Taemin had his hands in his pockets and was looking up at the high ceiling with wide eyes. "Are you the other human students?" Professor Zenth asked. His voice sounded like wind chimes ringing. "How wonderful. We have never had humans here before. This will be very interesting." Professor Zenth led them through the station. The halls were full of students from different planets. Some looked like giant bugs with too many arms. Others were floating balls of gas that glowed different colors. One group looked like rocks that had learned to walk. "Your rooms are in the student housing area," Professor Zenth explained. "But first, let me introduce you to some of your classmates." They stopped at a large room where several alien students were sitting around tables. Professor Zenth made a sound like a bell ringing, and all the aliens looked up. "Everyone, please meet our new human exchange students," Professor Zenth said. "This is Hyun-woo, Da-eun, and Taemin. They have traveled very far from their home planet to study with us." A creature that looked like it was made of living rock stood up. It was huge, probably 3 meters tall and very wide. "I am Krell," it said in a deep voice. "I come from Titan Prime. We have heard stories about your species. You live on a very dangerous world, yes?" Da-eun laughed. "Dangerous? Earth isn't that bad. We have some storms and earthquakes, but most places are pretty safe." Another student floated over to them. This one looked like a cloud of purple gas with eyes that glowed like stars. "I am Kix from the Nebula Systems," it said. Its voice sounded like it was speaking from far away. "We studied your planet in our galactic geography class. Earth has a yellow sun, correct?" "Yes," Taemin said. "Why do you ask?" Kix's gas body changed from purple to a worried orange color. "Yellow suns give off very strong radiation. How do you protect yourselves from being burned?" Hyun-woo looked confused. "We don't really need protection. I mean, we use sunscreen at the beach, but that's about it." A crystalline student that looked like Professor Zenth, but smaller, came over. "I am Veltar," it said, making musical sounds. "Your atmosphere is mostly nitrogen, yes? That gas is poison to most species in the galaxy. How do you breathe?" "Nitrogen isn't poison to us," Da-eun explained. "We need oxygen to live, but nitrogen is harmless. Actually, our air is about 78% nitrogen." All the alien students made surprised sounds. Krell's rocky face showed what might have been shock. "You breathe poison gas and live under a radiation star?" he asked. "I guess so," Hyun-woo said. "We never really thought about it that way." Professor Zenth's crystal branches chimed softly. "Perhaps we should discuss your planet's gravity. Our records show Earth has a gravity of 1 g. Is this correct?" "Yes," Taemin said. 1 g is normal for us." Veltar made a sound like breaking glass. 1 g is very strong gravity. Most civilized worlds have gravity between 0.3 and 0.6 g. How do you move around without being crushed?" "We're used to it," Hyun-woo said. "Actually, the gravity here feels a bit light to me." As if to prove his point, Hyun-woo took a step and accidentally jumped higher than he meant to. He landed easily, but all the alien students backed away from him. "How did you do that?" Kix asked, its gas body turning bright red with alarm. "Do what?" Hyun-woo asked. You moved so fast and jumped so high, Krell said. Are you wearing some kind of enhancement suit? Da-Yun looked down at her regular clothes. Enhancement suit? These are just normal clothes. Those thin fabric coverings are your environmental protection, Veltar asked. They look like they would not stop a gentle breeze, let alone radiation and poison gas. They're not for protection, Taemin explained. They're just to keep us warm and modest. The alien students all started talking at once in their different languages. Professor Zenth made several loud chiming sounds to get their attention. Perhaps, Professor Zenth said, we should continue this discussion later. Let me show you humans to your rooms so you can rest from your journey. As they walked away, Hyunwoo heard Krell talking to the other alien students. Did you see how easily they moved in this gravity? And they said their world has even stronger gravity than this. I heard, Veltar replied with worried musical notes, that humans can survive injuries that would kill most species. Is this true? Hyunwoo stopped walking. Oh, that reminds me, he said to his human friends. I should call my mom tonight and tell her my arm is feeling much better. Your arm? Professor Zenth asked. Yeah, I broke it last year playing soccer, Hyunwoo said. It's all healed up now, but it still gets a little sore when the weather changes. Professor Zenth stopped walking entirely. His crystal body went completely still. You broke your arm and it healed? Naturally? Sure, Hyunwoo said. Bones heal pretty fast if you're young and healthy. Took about 6 weeks. Behind them, they could hear Krell making deep rumbling sounds that might have been his species' way of being frightened. Kix's gas body had turned a pale yellow color, and Veltar was making high-pitched ringing sounds. Is everything okay? Da-Yun asked. Professor Zenth's branches started glowing brighter. Among most galactic species, he said slowly, broken bones are either fatal or require complete cybernetic replacement. Natural healing of major structural damage is not common. The three humans looked at each other. Huh, Taemin said. I guess we're tougher than we thought. From somewhere behind them, they heard Kix say in its faraway voice, What kind of death world creates creatures like this? Da-Yun walked into the chemistry lab feeling excited. This was her first real class at the Galactic Academy, and she wanted to make a good impression. The lab was full of strange equipment she had never seen before. Everything looked very expensive and delicate. Professor Ilex stood at the front of the room. She was made of what looked like living crystal, similar to Professor Zenth but blue instead of clear. Her voice sounded like musical bells when she spoke. Today, we will be working with basic chemical compounds, Professor Ilex announced. Please be very careful. These substances can be harmful to most species. Da-Un looked at her lab partner, Veltar. The crystalline student was wearing what looked like a full environmental suit with thick gloves and a face shield. Do we need safety equipment? Da-Un asked. Veltar made surprised musical sounds. You are not wearing protection? These chemicals could cause severe damage to biological tissue. I have safety glasses, Da-Un said, putting on a pair of normal safety glasses. That should be enough for basic chemistry. Professor Ilex began, explaining the experiment. They would be mixing different acids and bases to create new compounds. Da-Un had done similar experiments in her chemistry classes on Earth. Everything was going well until Da-Un reached for a container of concentrated acid. The container was slippery, and she accidentally knocked it over. The acid spilled across the table and splashed onto her hand. Immediately, alarms started going off all over the lab. Red lights flashed, and emergency announcements began playing in several alien languages. Hazmat emergency, the computer voice said. All students evacuate immediately. Toxic exposure in Lab 7. Da-Un looked at her hand. The skin was red and stinging a little, but it was not serious. She walked over to the emergency shower in the corner of the lab. What are you doing? Veltar shouted through the alarms. Do not move! The medics are coming! It's okay, Da-un said. She turned on the emergency shower and stuck her hand under the water. Just need to rinse this off. The other students in the lab were panicking. Kix had turned bright red and was floating near the ceiling. Krell had activated some kind of shield around his body. Everyone was staying as far away from Da-un as possible. A team of medical robots rushed into the lab. They were scanning the air with blinking devices and making worried beeping sounds. Where is the contaminated student? One of the robots asked. Over here, Da-un said, still washing her hand. But I'm fine. It was just a little acid. The robots surrounded her and started scanning her with bright lights. One of them spoke in a mechanical voice. Subject shows no signs of tissue death or systemic poisoning. This is impossible. Dr. Wilex came over looking very worried. Her crystal body was flashing between different colors. How are you still conscious? Dr. Wilex asked. That acid should have caused severe burns and toxic shock. Da-un turned off the shower and looked at her hand. It was still a little red, but the stinging had stopped. It's not that bad, she said. I've had worse burns from cooking. One time I grabbed a hot pan without thinking and got a really nasty burn. This is nothing compared to that. All the alien students made horrified sounds. Veltar's musical tones became very high and worried. You have been exposed to thermal damage before? Professor Ilex asked. Sure, Da-un said. Everyone gets burned, sometimes. When I was little, I touched a hot stove. When I was in college, I spilled boiling water on my arm. You learn to be more careful, but accidents happen. And you survived all of these exposures? Dr. Wilex asked. Of course, Da-un said. Humans are pretty good at healing from small injuries. Professor Ilex made several concerned musical sounds. Perhaps you could tell us more about human biology. Do you regularly expose yourselves to toxic substances? Da-un thought about it. Well, I guess some things we eat might be toxic to other species. Like I had coffee this morning, and last night I had a beer with dinner. Oh, and I really like spicy food. Coffee contains caffeine, Professor Ilex said. That is a powerful stimulant drug. And alcohol is a poison that damages the nervous system, added one of the medical robots. Spicy food contains capsaicin, Veltar added with worried musical notes. That chemical is designed to cause pain and prevent creatures from eating it. Da-un laughed. I guess when you put it that way, it does sound bad. But humans like those things. Coffee wakes us up in the morning. A little alcohol helps us relax. And spicy food tastes good, even though it burns a little. You enjoy the burning sensation? Kix asked from near the ceiling. Some people do, Da-un said. I have a friend who grows his own hot peppers. He's always trying to find hotter and hotter ones. Last year he tried something called a ghost pepper and couldn't talk normally for an hour. And this friend is still alive? Professor Wilex asked. Oh yeah, he's fine. Actually, he wants to try something even hotter next year. The medical robots were still scanning Da-un with their devices. One of them spoke up. Subject's metabolic system appears to process toxins at an extraordinary rate. Her liver is filtering the acid exposure as if it were a minor irritant. That's interesting, Da-un said. When I worked as a nurse, we learned that human livers are really good at filtering out bad stuff. People can survive poisoning from all kinds of things if they get to the hospital fast enough. You worked in medical care? Dr. Wilex asked. Yeah. I was an emergency room nurse for 2 years while I was saving money for school. You see all kinds of things in the ER. People who drank too much, people who ate something bad, people who got into accidents. Most of them recover pretty well if you treat them quickly. Professor Ilex's crystal body went very still. You worked in emergency medical care while attending school? Sure. The shifts were 12 hours long, usually at night. It was tiring. But the pay was good, and I learned a lot about how tough humans really are. Krell spoke up from behind his shield. 12 hours? Without rest? Well, We got breaks for meals, Dayun said, and if things were quiet, sometimes we could sit down. For a few minutes, but busy nights you're on your feet the whole time. All the alien students were staring at her now. The medical robots kept beeping and scanning her. On my home world, Krell said slowly, our species requires 12 hours of rest for every 8 hours of activity. Working for 12 straight hours would cause system failure. Humans can stay awake for days if they need to, Da-Un said. It's not healthy to do it too often, but we can manage when necessary. During my final exams, I once stayed awake for almost 3 days straight. The medical robots started beeping louder and flashing red lights. This is impossible, one of them said. No known species can function without proper rest cycles. Maybe humans are just different, Da-Yun suggested. Professor Ilex made a very long, very worried musical sound. Yes, she said. I am beginning to think humans are very different indeed. Hyun-woo walked into the physical training facility and whistled softly. The room was enormous, with equipment he had never seen before. Some machines looked like they were designed for creatures with 6 legs. Others seemed to be made for students. Who could fly? First day of physical training? Asked a deep voice behind him. Hyun-woo turned and saw Krell, the massive rock-like student. Even after a week at the academy, Krell's size was still impressive. The alien student was at least 3 meters tall and looked like he weighed as much as a small car. Yeah, Hyun-woo said. I'm excited to see what kind of exercise you guys do here. Krell made a rumbling sound that might have been laughter. This should be interesting. The training here is designed for students from high-gravity worlds like mine. Are you sure you can handle it? I'll give it my best shot, Hyun-woo said. Professor Vax came over to greet them. She was a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms, and legs that bent in directions that made Hyun-woo's eyes hurt to look at. Welcome to physical conditioning, Professor Vax said. Today we will start with basic strength and endurance exercises. These are designed to be challenging but not impossible for students from worlds with gravity of 2.5 G or higher. Hyun-woo raised his hand. What about students from 1G worlds? Professor Vax looked at him with her large black eyes. We do not usually have students from such low-gravity environments. You may find today's exercises very difficult. Please, stop immediately if you feel any pain or distress. The first exercise was simple weightlifting. Professor Vax showed them a machine that looked like a more complicated version of the weight machines at Hyun-woo's gym back on Earth. Start with the lightest setting, Professor Vax told him. This is calibrated for students from 3G worlds, so it may be too heavy for you. Hyun-woo sat down at the machine and grabbed the handles. When he pulled, the weights moved easily. Very easily. It felt like he was lifting empty boxes. Is this thing broken? He asked. Krell was watching him with surprise. You lifted that without effort. That weight is equivalent to lifting 150 kilograms in standard gravity. Really? Hyun-woo said. He tried the next weight setting, still easy, then the next one. This one feels about right for a warm-up. Professor Vax checked her tablet with all 4 hands. According to my calculations, you just lifted the equivalent of 400 kilograms. This should be impossible for someone your size from a low-gravity world. I'm not that strong, Hyun-woo said. Back home, I could bench press maybe 80 kilograms. On a good day, but the gravity here is lighter, so everything feels easier. The gravity here is standard for most civilized worlds, Professor Vax said. 0.6 G is considered normal. Oh, Hyun-woo said. Earth gravity is almost twice as strong as this. No wonder everything feels light. Next, they moved to running. The track was a long oval that went around the entire training facility. Professor Vax explained that they would run for 30 minutes at a moderate pace. This exercise is designed to test cardiovascular endurance, she said. Most students from heavy gravity worlds can complete about 5 kilometers in 30 minutes. Hyun-woo started running at what felt like a comfortable pace. The low gravity, made him feel like he was bouncing with each step. It was actually kind of fun. After 10 minutes, he realized he was passing other students who had started before him. Krell was running at a steady pace, but Hyunwoo found himself naturally going faster. "Are you having difficulty?" Professor Vax asked when she saw him pass the same group of students for the third time. "No, this feels pretty good," Hyunwoo said. "Actually, it's easier than running back home." "How much running do you do on Earth?" she asked. "I used to run marathons," Hyunwoo said. "Haven't done one in a while, but I still jog a few times a week." Professor Vax stopped running entirely. "Marathons? How long is a marathon?" 42 kilometers, Hyunwoo said, still running, in place. "Takes me about 4 hours to finish one." All the alien students had stopped exercising now and were staring at him. Veltar made worried musical sounds. Kix had turned a shocked purple color. "You run 42 kilometers for recreation?" Krell asked. "Some people do it competitively," Hyunwoo said. "But I just do it for fun. I like the challenge." "The challenge of not dying?" asked a spider-like student Hyunwoo hadn't met before. "Dying? From running? It's good exercise. Humans are built for long-distance running. Back in the old days, we used to hunt animals by chasing them until they got too tired to run anymore." Professor Vax was writing frantically on her tablet. "Persistence hunting. I have read about this in ancient texts. I thought it was mythology." "Nope, very real," Hyunwoo said. "Humans are really good at sweating to cool down, so we can keep running when other animals have to stop and rest." "You leak water through your skin to regulate temperature?" the spider-like student asked in horror. "Sure," Hyunwoo said. "All humans sweat. It's how we keep from overheating during exercise." Krell made deep rumbling sounds. "On my world, losing body fluids like that would be fatal within hours." "We just drink more water to replace what we lose," Hyunwoo explained. "It's not a big deal." Professor Vax looked up from her tablet. "How much water do humans consume daily?" "I don't know exactly. Maybe 2 or 3 liters. More if you're exercising. Hard or it's hot outside." 2 or 3 liters of pure dihydrogen monoxide?" Professor Vax asked. "Sure, water is water." All the alien students made alarmed sounds. Professor Vax's 4 hands were shaking as she wrote. "Most galactic species can only process small amounts of pure water," she explained. "Too much causes cellular damage. We mix it with nutrients and buffers to make it safe." "Huh," Hyunwoo said. "We drink it straight from the tap. Sometimes we add flavor to it, but plain water is fine." While they were talking, Da-eun walked into the training facility. She was wearing workout clothes and had a water bottle in her hand. "Hey, Hyunwoo," she called. "Ready for some exercise? I heard they have a great meditation and stress management class here." Professor Vax looked interested. "You wish to participate in stress management training?" "Sure," Da-eun said. "I could use some relaxation after my first week of classes." "Excellent," Professor Vax said. "The stress management class is designed to help students cope with the extreme pressures of advanced galactic education. Follow me." They walked to a quiet room filled with soft cushions and gentle lighting. About a dozen alien students were sitting in circles, breathing slowly and making calm sounds. "Welcome," said the instructor, a floating jellyfish-like creature. "I am Healer Mox. This class helps students manage the severe stress of academic life. Many students find the pressure of learning new subjects to be overwhelming." Da-eun sat down on one of the cushions. "This looks nice and peaceful." "Indeed," Healer Mox said. "Academic stress can cause serious health problems if not properly managed. Some students have had complete nervous breakdowns from the pressure." "That's too bad," Da-eun said. "What kind of pressure are we talking about?" "The standard academic workload," Healer Mox explained. 3 classes per semester, with 4 hours of study time per day. Many students find this schedule impossible to maintain. Dae-yoon looked confused. "That's it? 3 classes? You find this inadequate?" Healer Mox asked. Well, it's pretty light, Daeyun said. In college, I usually took 6 or 7 classes per semester, and I was working 25 hours a week as a nurse. The alien students in the meditation circle all turned to stare at her. You attended 6 classes while working 25 hours. Per week? Healer Mox asked. This seems impossible. It was busy, Daeun admitted. But lots of human students work while going to school. You have to pay for classes somehow. How many hours per day were you active? Asked one of the students. Active? I guess about 18 hours a day. I'd sleep for 6 hours, then go to classes or work for the rest of the day. Healer Mox's jellyfish body started pulsing with alarmed colors. 18 hours of activity with only 6 hours of rest? For how long? 4 years, Daeun said. That's how long it took to finish my degree. 4 years of severe sleep deprivation should have caused permanent brain damage, Healer Mox said. I was tired a lot, Daeun said, but it wasn't that bad. Humans can handle being a little short on sleep for a while. Healer Mox was quiet for a long moment. What do you consider to be stressful? Daeun thought about it. Emergency surgery on a car accident victim while 3 other people are bleeding in the next room and you haven't had a break in 10 hours. That's stressful. And you experience this regularly? A couple times a month on busy nights in the ER. You learn to focus on what needs to be done and worry about being tired later. One of the alien students, a bird-like creature with bright feathers, spoke up. How do you maintain mental stability under such conditions? You just do what needs to be done, Daeun said. When people are hurt and need help, you help them. Being tired or stressed doesn't change that. Healer Mox's body went completely still. You deliberately expose yourself to life-threatening stress to help others? It's not life-threatening, Daeun said. It's just work. What you describe would kill most galactic species within days, Healer Mox said quietly. Really? Daeun asked. But humans do it all the time. Doctors, nurses, emergency workers, soldiers, parents with new babies. Lots of people work under pressure. The engineering lab was busy that morning. Hyunwoo was working on a project to improve the station's power systems. The equipment was much more advanced than anything he had used on Earth, but the basic principles were the same. Taemin was at the next table over, building some kind of engine component. Daeun had stopped by to help with the biological systems integration. Everything was going well until someone made a mistake with the reactor containment field. The accident happened very fast. One moment, Hyunwoo was carefully adjusting a power coupling. The next moment, alarms were screaming and red lights were flashing everywhere. Radiation. Leak, the computer announced. All personnel evacuate immediately. Radiation leak in Engineering Lab 12. The alien students panicked. Veltar was making high-pitched musical sounds of distress. Krell activated his personal shield and started moving toward the exit as fast as his heavy body could manage. Kix turned bright red and started floating rapidly toward the ceiling. "Everyone out!" Professor Nix shouted. He was a tall, thin alien who looked like he was made of metal. "This is a code red emergency." The aliens rushed toward the exits, but Hyunwoo noticed that one of the younger alien students had fallen down. The student looked like a small lizard with blue scales. She was trying to get up, but her leg seemed to be hurt. Without thinking, Hyunwoo ran over to help her. "Are you okay?" he asked, kneeling down beside the injured student. "My leg is trapped," she said in a scared voice. "I cannot move." Hyunwoo looked and saw that a piece of heavy equipment had fallen on her leg when the accident started. He grabbed the equipment and lifted it off her. "There you go," he said. "Can you walk?" The lizard student stared at him with wide eyes. You lifted that. In the radiation field." "Come on," Hyunwoo said, helping her to her feet. "Let's get out of here." He helped the injured student walk toward the exit. Tae-min and Da-yoon were also helping other students who had been hurt or scared by the accident. By the time they reached the exit, medical teams were already waiting. "Thank goodness you are safe," Professor Nix said when he saw them. "The radiation, exposure in that lab would be fatal to most species." "How bad was it?" Da-eun asked. Professor Nix checked his scanner. The exposure level was approximately 500 rads. Lethal dose for most galactic species is around 200 rads. Rads? Hyunwoo asked. "What's that in sieverts?" "Approximately 5 sieverts," Professor Nix said. "Why do you ask?" "That's not good, but it's not immediately fatal for humans," Hyunwoo said. "I should probably go to the medical center and get checked out, though." Professor Nix stared at him. "Not immediately fatal? 5 sieverts should kill most biological entities within hours." "Humans can survive higher doses than that," Tae-min said. "Some people have survived 10 or even 20 sieverts with proper medical treatment." All the alien students who had been in the lab were now being taken away on medical gurneys. They looked very sick and weak, but the 3 humans were still standing and talking normally. "Perhaps you should also go to medical," Professor Nix suggested. "Just to be sure." "Good idea," Da-eun said. "Better safe than sorry." At the medical center, Dr. Wheelex was very busy treating the alien students who had been exposed to radiation. They were all in isolation chambers and connected to complex machines. "How are the others doing?" Hyunwoo asked when Dr. Wheelex finally had time to examine him. "They are stable, but it will take weeks of intensive treatment to repair the cellular damage," Dr. Wheelex said. "Now let me scan you." Dr. Wheelex ran several different scanners over Hyunwoo's body. The machines beeped and flashed different colors as they worked. "This is very strange," Dr. Wheelex muttered, looking at the results. "According to these readings, your cells are repairing the radiation damage in real time." "Is that bad?" Hyunwoo asked. "It should be impossible," Dr. Wheelex said. "Let me run more tests." She used different scanners and took several samples of Hyunwoo's blood. Each test seemed to surprise her more. "Your bone marrow is producing new blood cells at an incredible rate," she said. "Your immune system is treating the radiation exposure like a minor infection, and your DNA repair mechanisms are working at efficiency levels I have never seen." "Humans evolved on a planet with a lot of natural radiation," Hyunwoo explained. "We probably have better radiation resistance than most species." Dr. Wheelex looked at her datapad. "What kind of natural radiation?" "Cosmic rays from space, radiation from uranium and other elements in the ground, radiation from the sun," Hyunwoo said. "It's everywhere on Earth. We're used to it." "How much background radiation do humans experience daily?" Dr. Wheelex asked. "I think it's about 2 or 3 millisieverts per year for most people," Hyunwoo said. "More if you live at high altitude or work certain jobs." Dr. Wheelex was quiet for a long moment. "Most galactic species experience less than 0.1 millisieverts per year. Your species lives with radiation levels that would be considered dangerous for us." "I guess that explains why we handle this better," Hyunwoo said. Da-yoon and Tae-min came in for their medical examinations. Their results were similar to Hyunwoo's. All 3 humans were healing from the radiation exposure much faster than should have been possible. "There is something else I discovered in your blood tests," Dr. Wheelex said. "You mentioned that humans can survive severe injuries and heal naturally. Is this correct?" "Sure," Tae-min said. "Humans are pretty tough. Have any of you ever donated biological material to help treat other humans?" Dr. Wheelex asked. "You mean like blood donations?" Da-eun asked. "I donate blood a few times a year. I donated bone marrow once," Tae-min said. "My cousin needed it for cancer treatment." Dr. Wheelex made musical sounds of amazement. "You can regenerate bone marrow and transfer it to other individuals? If the tissue types match, yeah," Tae-min said. "The doctors take some marrow from a healthy person and give it to someone whose marrow isn't working properly." "And the donor survives this procedure?" "Of course," Tae-min said. "It grows back pretty quickly." I was a little sore for a week, but that was about it. Dr. Wilex was writing frantically on her data pad. Humans can regenerate vital organs and donate them to save other humans. This is incredible! People also donate kidneys sometimes, Da-Un added. Humans have 2 kidneys, but we can live normally with just 1. Redundant organ systems, Dr. Wilex whispered. Built-in backup organs. And livers can regenerate too, Hyunwoo said. Someone can donate part of their liver, and both the donor and recipient will grow back complete livers. Dr. Wilex sat down heavily in her chair. Her crystal body was flashing different colors rapidly. What kind of evolution creates creatures with backup organs, radiation resistance, and regenerative abilities? She asked. The kind that happens on a planet that's constantly trying to kill you? Da-Un said cheerfully. Dr. Wilex looked at the 3 humans who were sitting calmly in her medical bay while alien students in the next room were fighting for their lives from the same radiation exposure. I need to make some calls, she said quietly. I think the galactic medical community needs to know about human biology. Is everything okay? Hyunwoo asked. Everything is fine, Dr. Wilex said. It's just that you 3 are the most medically fascinating creatures I have ever encountered. Thanks, I think, Taemin said. As they left the medical center, they could hear Dr. Wilex talking rapidly to someone on her communication device. Yes, I am serious, she was saying. They have natural radiation resistance, regenerative organs, and healing factors that exceed anything in our databases. We need to study this species immediately. Professor Zenth called an emergency meeting of the Academy's teaching staff. In his long career as an educator, he had never been so confused about a group of students. The meeting room was full of professors from different species, all talking, at once in their various languages. Order, please, Professor Zenth chimed. His crystal branches glowed brighter to get everyone's attention. We need to discuss the human students. Dr. Wilex was the first to speak. The medical data is extraordinary. These creatures have biological capabilities that should not exist in any known species. The physical training results are equally unusual, added Professor Vax. The human student Hyunwoo completed exercises designed for high-gravity species without difficulty. Professor Nix, who taught engineering, made concerned beeping sounds. They showed no fear when exposed to lethal radiation. In fact, they remained behind to help other students evacuate. This behavior is not normal, said Healer Mox, floating nervously near the ceiling. They seem to lack proper survival instincts. Professor Zenth made thoughtful musical notes. Perhaps we should examine what we know about their homeworld. Computer, display information about planet Earth. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed a blue and green planet orbiting a yellow star. The data scrolled past in several languages. Planet classification. Class 12. Death World, the computer announced. Every alien in the room went completely silent. Professor Zenth's crystal body stopped glowing entirely. That cannot be correct, Dr. Wilex said finally. Class 12 is the highest danger rating. Only uninhabitable worlds receive that classification. Computer, confirm planet classification, Professor Zenth ordered. Confirmed. Planet Earth, Sol System, Milky Way Galaxy. Classification, Class 12 Death World. Warning, not suitable for colonization by any known galactic species. Professor Vax made horrified sounds with all 4 of her arms. We have students from a Class 12 Death World sitting in our classrooms. Computer, explain classification reasons. Professor, Nix requested. The holographic display changed to show various images and data about Earth. Primary hazards include yellow star radiation, toxic atmosphere composition, extreme gravity, unstable weather patterns, seismic activity, volcanic activity, frequent asteroid impacts, magnetic field reversals, ice ages, mass extinction events, and presence of hostile biological entities. Professor Zenth was so shocked he could not make any sounds at all. Show us the biological entities, Dr. Wilex said in a worried voice. The display showed images of Earth's animals: lions, tigers, sharks, bears, venomous snakes, poisonous spiders, crocodiles, and hundreds of other dangerous creatures. The planet is inhabited by apex predators of extraordinary variety and lethality, the computer continued. Most biological entities on this world are designed to hunt, kill, and consume other entities. And humans evolved alongside these creatures? Professor Vax asked. Confirmed. Humans evolved as persistence hunters, capable of tracking prey across vast distances, until the prey died of exhaustion. Healer Mox made distressed floating motions. They are persistence predators. That explains their physical capabilities. Computer, Professor Zenth said, show us human evolutionary history. The display changed to show the development of human civilization over millions of years. Humans survived multiple extinction events: ice ages, supervolcano eruptions, and asteroid impacts. They developed tool use, fire control, and cooperative hunting strategies to become the dominant species on their planet. They survived extinction events that would wipe out entire galactic civilizations, Dr. Wilex whispered. Computer, how do humans rate compared to other galactic species for survival capabilities? Professor Nix asked. Humans exceed all known galactic species in the following areas: radiation resistance, toxin tolerance, temperature adaptation, injury recovery, stress, resistance, endurance capacity, and problem-solving under extreme conditions. The room was quiet for a long time. Finally, Professor Zenth made very soft, worried musical sounds. We have been treating them like fragile newcomers, he said, when in reality, they are the most dangerous survival specialists in the known galaxy. It gets worse, Dr. Wilex said, looking at her datapad. I have been researching human cultural development. They do not just survive dangerous situations. They actively seek them out for entertainment. What do you mean? Asked Professor Vax. They engage in activities called extreme sports, Dr. Wilex explained. Humans deliberately jump from high places, race at dangerous speeds, and expose themselves to risk for the pleasure of surviving the experience. They find danger entertaining? Healer Mox asked in horror. Some humans climb mountains that are so high the atmosphere is too thin to breathe properly, Dr. Wilex continued. Others dive to ocean depths that would crush most species. They call these activities hobbies. Professor Nix made rapid beeping sounds of distress. What kind of death world evolution creates creatures that seek out mortal danger for fun? There is more, Dr. Wilex said. Human cultural records show they have survived wars, plagues, famines, and natural disasters that would end most civilizations. Each time, they rebuilt and became stronger. Computer, Professor Zenth said, what is the recommended approach for interaction with Class 12 Death World species? Warning: direct interaction not recommended. Maintain safe distance. Do not approach without extreme protective measures. All the alien professors looked at each other with growing alarm. We have been sharing meals with them, Professor Vax said quietly. I assigned one of them to be a teaching assistant, Professor Nix added. They have been helping other students with their homework, Dr. Wilex said. Professor Zenth's crystal body started flashing different colors rapidly. We need to review the security footage from the past 2 weeks. They spent the next hour watching recordings of the human students' activities. They saw Hyun-woo casually lifting equipment that should have been too heavy for him. They watched Da-eun work through the night without showing signs of fatigue. They observed Tai-min solve complex engineering problems using methods that violated several laws of physics but somehow worked anyway. Look at this, Professor Vax said, pointing to a recording from the dining hall. They are eating the emergency rations that are designed to keep students alive if the food processors fail. On the screen, the 3 humans were happily eating what the aliens considered to be barely edible survival food. Those rations are bland and nutritionally minimal, Dr. Wilex said. The humans said they taste better than military food from their planet, Professor Vax replied. They have experience with military survival rations? Professor Nix asked. According to this cultural database I accessed, Dr. Wilex said, many young humans are required to serve in their planet's military forces. They are trained to fight, survive, and operate under the worst possible conditions. We are not just dealing with civilians, Professor Zenth realized. Some of these creatures may be trained warriors. Healer Mox suddenly stopped floating and dropped toward the floor. I need to sit down, she said. This is too much to process. Professor Zenth made a long, low musical note. The question now is, what do we do with this information? We could report them to Galactic Security, Professor Nix suggested. Deathworld species are supposed to be monitored. For what crime? Dr. Wilex asked. Being helpful and polite? They have not shown any aggressive behavior, Professor Vax admitted. In fact, they seem more concerned with helping others than protecting themselves. That may be the most frightening thing of all, Professor Zenth said quietly. Creatures from the most dangerous world in the galaxy, and their first instinct is to help strangers who are weaker than they are. The professors sat in worried silence, trying to understand what they had gotten themselves into by accepting human exchange students. There is one more thing, Dr. Wilex said finally. According to the Galactic database, Earth has a population of over 8 billion humans. 8 billion, Professor Zenth repeated slowly. 8 billion survivors from a Class 12 death world. And we thought 3 of them would be easy to handle, Professor Vax added. The meeting ended with more questions than answers. But one thing was clear. The Academy's first human students were far more than anyone had expected. 3 months had passed since the emergency faculty meeting about the human students. The semester was coming to an end, and everything at the Academy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Hyun Woo was walking through the main corridor when he heard familiar musical sounds calling his name. He turned to see Veltar approaching, no longer wearing the heavy protective equipment that had been standard at the beginning of the semester. Hyun Woo, Veltar chimed. I wanted to thank you for helping me with my engineering project. No problem, Hyun Woo said. I'm glad we figured out how to fix the power coupling issue. When the coupling failed and started sparking, I thought we would have to evacuate the lab, Veltar said. But you just grabbed it with your bare hands and held it steady while I made the repairs. It was only a little electrical shock, Hyun Woo said. Not dangerous for humans. Veltar made amused musical notes. I have learned that very few things are dangerous for humans. That is why the Student Council elected you as president. I'm still not sure I'm the right choice for that job, Hyun Woo said. You are the only choice, Veltar replied. When the station had that emergency with the failing life support systems, you organized the repair teams and kept everyone calm. No other species could have handled that kind of crisis leadership. It was true. 2 weeks earlier, Nexus 7 had experienced a serious malfunction in its environmental systems. While the alien students panicked and the professors tried to figure out proper emergency procedures, Hyun Woo had simply started giving orders and organizing people to fix the problem. Someone had to take charge, Hyun Woo said. It wasn't that big a deal. For humans, perhaps, Veltar said. For the rest of us, it was terrifying. But seeing you stay calm helped all of us stay calm, too. They walked past the medical center where Da-Un was finishing her shift as the head of the new emergency response team. She had volunteered for the position after several alien students had been injured in minor accidents around the station. How did your shift go? Hyun Woo asked when Da-Un joined them. Pretty quiet, she said. Just helped a Zephyrian student who had a small crack in his crystal structure, and I had to talk Kix through a panic attack when the atmospheric processors made some unusual sounds. The alien students trust you more than they trust the regular medical staff, Veltar observed. I think it's because they know humans are hard to hurt, Da-Un said. When I tell them something isn't dangerous, they believe me because they've seen me handle things that would hospitalize their species. They continued walking and found Taimin in one of the engineering workshops. He was surrounded by a group of alien students who were watching him work on a broken transport engine. "The problem is that you're overthinking it," Taimin was saying to Krell. "Sometimes you just need to try things and see what works." Krell made rumbling sounds of frustration. "But the manual says we must follow exact procedures. If we do the wrong thing, we could damage the engine permanently. The manual is written by people who have never actually fixed a broken engine in the field," Taimin said. "Sometimes you have to improvise." He picked up a piece of metal pipe and used it to tap gently on a stuck component. There was a click, and the engine started running smoothly. "How did you know that would work?" asked Kix, who was floating nearby, and had turned a curious green color. "Experience," Taimin said. "On Earth, we fix things with whatever tools we have available. You learn to listen to machines and figure out what they need. This approach is not taught in any of our engineering programs," Krell said. "That's because your engineering programs assume you'll always have perfect conditions and the right tools," Taimin replied. "Humans learn to make things work even when conditions are terrible and half your equipment is broken." Professor Zenth appeared in the workshop doorway. His crystal branches were glowing with pleased colors. "Mr. Taimin," he said, "I have some news. The Academy's Board of Directors has approved your proposal to create a new engineering curriculum based on human problem-solving methods." "Really?" Taimin asked. "They want to teach improvisation and field repair techniques?" "They want to learn how humans can fix complex systems using simple tools and creative thinking," Professor Zenth confirmed. "Your methods have solved more engineering problems this semester than our traditional approaches." Later that evening, all the students gathered in the main assembly hall for the end-of-semester ceremony. The three humans sat with their alien friends, still amazed by how much things had changed. Professor Zenth stood at the front of the hall, his crystal body glowing brightly. "This has been a remarkable semester," he began. "We welcomed our first human exchange students, not knowing what to expect. What we discovered was both surprising and humbling. The alien students all turned to look at Hyunwoo, Da-eun, and Tai-min. We assumed that humans, coming from what our databases classified as a dangerous world, would need our protection and guidance," Professor Zenth continued. "Instead, we learned that they were protecting and guiding us." Dr. Wilex stepped forward. "The human students have revolutionized our understanding of biology, medicine, and survival. They have shown us that strength is not about avoiding damage, but about healing and continuing forward despite damage." Professor Vax joined them. "In physical training, they have demonstrated that true fitness comes not from perfect conditions, but from adapting to imperfect conditions." "And in engineering," added Professor Nix, "they have taught us that the best solutions often come from creative thinking rather than rigid procedures." Veltar stood up in the audience. "May I speak?" he asked. Professor Zenth nodded, and Veltar made his way to the front of the hall. "When the humans first arrived," Veltar said, his musical voice carrying clearly through the hall, "we thought they were the weakest among us. They had no natural armor like Krell. They could not fly like Kix. They were not crystalline like my people." He paused, looking around at all the alien students. "We were wrong. We thought weakness was the absence of armor. But humans taught us that true strength is not needing armor, because you can heal from anything. We thought intelligence meant following rules perfectly. But humans showed us that real intelligence means solving problems even when the rules don't work." Veltar turned to face the three humans directly. "Most importantly, we learned that the greatest strength of all is the willingness to help others, even when helping them puts you at risk. Humans do not ask if something is safe before they do what is right. They simply do what needs to be done." The hall was completely quiet. Even Healer Mox had stopped floating and was listening intently. "We thought they were fragile creatures who had somehow survived on a dangerous world," Veltar continued. The truth is that they are not fragile at all. They are the survivors. They are what evolution creates when a world refuses to give up, refuses to quit, and refuses to let anything stay broken. He made a complex series of musical sounds that translated roughly to applause. They are not the exception to survival. They are survival. The entire hall erupted in sounds of agreement from dozens of different species. Krell made deep rumbling, sounds of respect. Kix flashed bright, happy colors. The spider-like students clicked their approval. Professor Zenth waited for the noise to die down before speaking again. Due to the success of this exchange program, he announced, the Academy will be creating the galaxy's first human studies curriculum. Students from across the galaxy will come here to learn about resilience, adaptability, and the remarkable capabilities of our newest allies. After the ceremony, the three humans walked back to their dormitory together. That was unexpected. Da-Yun said. I still can't believe they were so amazed by normal human stuff, Taemin said. Maybe normal human stuff is more impressive than we thought, Hyunwoo suggested. As they walked, they passed groups of alien students who waved and made friendly sounds of greeting. The fear and worry from the beginning of the semester had been replaced by friendship and respect. You know what's funny? Dawn said. We came here to learn about alien technology and culture. And instead, we taught them about human technology and culture, Taemin added. I think we all learned something, Hyunwoo said. They learned that humans are tougher than we look. We learned that most of the galaxy is a lot more peaceful than Earth. Do you think more humans will come to the Academy? Da-Yun asked. Probably, Hyunwoo said, and I think they'll be surprised by how different things are out here. Different, but good different, Taemin said. It's nice to be in a place where the worst emergency is a broken engine instead of a natural disaster. Although, Da-Yun added with a smile, I think our alien friends are going to be very disappointed when they visit Earth and realize that we're actually some of the least adventurous humans they could have met. They all laughed, thinking about their friends' reactions when they learned that there were humans who did things like climb mountains, explore caves, race cars, and jump out of perfectly good aircraft for fun. The galaxy was about to discover that the three exchange students were just the beginning.